What if Anakin became Darth Vader during the Clone Wars? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Dooku watches in displeasure as Anakin serves them their meal. While part of him does indeed take some satisfaction in watching the arrogant Jedi reduced to this, showing him off so openly was not part of his plan.
You have done an excellent job in keeping young Skywalker obedient.
He has been an excellent addition to my household, one that will surely show the power of our alliance.
Indeed, but such bold displays are meaningless. I need Skywalker. He is essential to my master's plan.
No, I have gotten attached to Skywalker. I am sorry, but you must make do without him in your plans.
Your compliance is not optional, Queen. Remember that your slave empire depends on my droid armies for protection. I can just as easily turn my droids against you.
Gritting her teeth, the Queen's hand goes to the energy whip by her side, while Dooku reaches for his lightsaber. Slowly, the Queen bites her lip and nods. Anakin is sedated and departs with Dooku, where they are taken to a secret lab on Mustafar. Here, Palpatine wishes to experiment with a new method to turn Jedi to the dark side. They begin to encase his body in a suit specifically designed by Palpatine. The black armor is meant to amplify his emotions, with needles constantly pricking him. Meanwhile, his helmet would be made from cortosis for sensory deprivation and prevention save for those who can communicate with him through the Force. They also keep the slave collar that Miraj gave to him, sending shocks whenever Anakin disobeys an order. Lastly, they insert a specialized inhibitor chip, similar to those used by clones. He finds himself in pain almost immediately as the needles of his new suit dig into his skin. A voice rings out in his head.
Yes, give in to your anger. Let the hate flow through you.
At first, Anakin tries to ignore the voice. He takes a deep breath and looks for calm to get a way out of the situation. Unfortunately, the suit makes it nearly impossible. The last thing Palpatine wants is for Anakin to calm himself. He needs him unsteady and more susceptible to the dark side. Each time Anakin tries to meditate, another surge of electricity courses through him. A lightsaber suddenly flies into his hands as Palpatine readies his weapon.
Attack me.
Anakin doesn't need to be told twice. He locks onto that unfamiliar presence and rushes at him, lightsaber flashing. He makes a pair of vicious swings, but the Chancellor avoids each attack, casually sliding out of reach. His movements are graceful and provocative, intent on raising Anakin's fury. The effort soon pays off as Anakin's attacks become wilder and more aggressive.
Good. Give in to your rage. You can feel that power. With proper training, you would be a force to be reckoned with. But only I can teach you this power.
The response is an angry cry, followed by another charge. This time, Palpatine answers with his own attack. He catches Anakin's lightsaber and twists it aside before throwing a fork of lightning his way. The shock is worse than anything the collar can do and sends Anakin back. Palpatine wastes no time in asserting himself over his apprentice, showing him just how helpless he truly is. To his credit, Anakin lasts far longer than Palpatine expects. This process requires weeks and weeks of effort, but over time, the anger, doubt, and fear in him slowly begin to win over. Anakin remembers his friends still on Zagiria, trapped as slaves. The thought fills him with dread as he should be helping them. Instead, he is trapped here, stuck at the mercy of his hidden captor. The thought frustrates him to no end. Each day he struggles, it chips a bit more of his willpower, as the only thoughts in his mind are of his friends. That is until one day Anakin finally breaks, and instead of attacking Palpatine, kneels before him.
Good.
He suddenly shocks Anakin yet again.
There is no mercy in the dark side, but I shall teach you as my apprentice and show you the ways of our people.
Palpatine sends his new apprentice back to Zagiria with a mission to destroy their leader. It's like unleashing a hound from its leash. His lightsaber flashes as he cuts his way through the capital city. Slavers and guards alike fall to him. Their whips, spears, and blasters are useless to Anakin, who practically envelops himself in the dark energy, making him appear like a creature out of a nightmare. He makes his way straight to the palace. There he finds the Queen and her Prime Minister trying to organize the defenses. Atai suddenly gasps as he feels his throat tightening, and he's lifted off the ground as Anakin makes his way in. With one sweep of his hand, he tosses the guards against the wall with bone-crushing force, while he crushes Atai's throat, leaving the Queen alone.
I will not be cowed by the likes of you.
She draws her whip and lashes it at him. Anakin catches it in his hand and feels a surge of electricity. However, it's nothing compared to his training, and he ignores it. He pulls her forward and punches her across the face. Anakin drives his lightsaber down, but Miraj barely rolls aside. She lashes his legs together and tries to pull him over, but Anakin simply cuts the cord. Seeing her weapons starting to short out, Miraj gasps and pulls away, but Vader advances on her. She switches tactics, letting the sparking whip strike his armor again and again, but they leave little more than a few scratches on it. She blinks in surprise when Vader's hand moves and his crimson lightsaber flashes out. In a second, the rest of her whip is cut and sparking uselessly on the ground. She can only look in surprise before she feels herself lifted off the ground. But this time, it isn't with the Force. Vader lifts her off her feet with his bare hands and begins to choke the life out of her. She stares down at his cold mask and senses something familiar within him. While she stares at him, she gasps under his grip and recognizes him.
You...
Anakin says nothing and continues to choke her until the life leaves her body. As she drops to the ground, he walks off in silence. This leaves Zagiria in chaos, as there is no one to take command. A few days later, a Republic fleet arrives and attacks the system. The disorganized defenders are no match for the full clone army, and they are soundly defeated, with the slaves being released and sent back to their homeworlds. However, amidst the chaos, 3 slaves were mysteriously not recovered: Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Rex. The victory sends jubilation across the Republic, who watch the destruction of one of the Separatists' worst allies. Although Vader's role is kept hidden, and instead Palpatine claims they struck amid a succession crisis. Seeing this success, he begins sending Anakin out on similar missions. Before sending Republic forces to a CIS facility or ally, Palpatine instead deploys Anakin first, using him as a vanguard to crush those in his way. The plan works, and entire organizations collapse under his fury. This leads to rumors from some CIS worlds that the Republic has access to some sort of superweapon. Although Palpatine officially denies the existence of a weapon, he allows the rumors to spread, with Anakin becoming a legend. Unfortunately, some groups take notice of these developments. Dooku sees how much time the Chancellor is investing in Anakin and begins to question whether or not Palpatine plans on betraying him. He tries to figure out what Palpatine has in store, just as another mission takes place. This time, not on a CIS world. Instead, Anakin is deployed to Mandalore, just as Maul is consolidating his hold on the world. But his moves have also got Palpatine's attention, and he decides to send Vader to finish them off. As with his other missions, the Dark Lord easily slips through the guards, his skills more than capable of dealing with the guards as he makes his way towards the palace to confront this threat. From the palace, Maul and Savage prepare themselves as the doors fly open, throwing the guards aside while a dark figure steps inside. Vader says nothing as he strides through the ruins of the door, stepping over the dead bodies. Without a word, he points at Maul and ignites his lightsaber. Snarling, Maul readies his lightsaber in one hand and the darksaber in the other. Savage readies his double-bladed lightsaber and rushes forward. He swings his attack in a pair of furious strikes, slashing low as Vader goes high. Despite his armor, he knees him across the face. Savage stumbles back but snarls and slams his lightsaber and then stabs it down, trying to impale him on the ground. Each of these attacks is strong enough to run him through, but Vader makes up for this strength in agility. He whirls and counters with his flurry of attacks. In terms of strength, he can't compete, so he makes up for it with speed. This puts the hulking warrior on the defensive, as he must block his attacks. Suddenly, he begins twirling his lightsaber in a ring that halts his attacks. This allows Maul to leap forward and join the battle. His foot cracks the ground as he tries to kick. The Night Brother follows up with a flurry of attacks. His movements become a blur of black and crimson to match his body. Vader has a harder time facing this as Maul can match his aggression and speed. Seeing this, Savage lumbers forward to try to tip the balance as he swings his lightsaber in a wide arc and then twist to try and ram his shoulder against him while he duels with Maul. The attack lands home and Vader slams against the wall, which cracks against him. Growling, he watches as the pair advance on him and feels the needles pricking against him. He lets the anger flow through him, and then he rushes again. As Savage meets him, Vader sidesteps and strikes from the side, forcing the larger foe to adjust his stance. But he doesn't stick around for long as he moves aside and rushes towards Maul, who crosses his swords in defense. The blow sends him sliding back slightly, but he halts the advance and pushes forward. It forces Vader to leap back, but Maul follows up and tries to slash at him, while Savage thrusts at him from behind. With attacks coming from 3 angles, it seems like they would land a blow, but suddenly Vader throws his hands out in a burst of force energy that throws them back. Maul tumbles against his throne, but Savage manages to keep his feet. He looks at Anakin and advances on him, and tries to meet him with his own set of vicious attacks until, at last, a blow lands against his head. But instead of cutting through like Savage expected, he's surprised to see the lightsaber sizzle against his helmet. Vader allows himself a smile, then drives his lightsaber into his chest. The Night Brother's eyes widen as he falls on his side, the green magic that strengthened him disappearing as he falls. Maul looks up in surprise and then gasps, rushing at Vader with a vicious snarl. The anger that fuels him now leaves him, unable to think clearly, so his moves devolve into mindless fury. Vader casually avoids each attack and then slowly steps back, letting Maul advance on him, as the Night Brother drives both lightsabers into his chest. Vader anticipates this and raises his lightsaber to push the sabers aside, pinning them against the floor. As they are locked in place, the Dark Apprentice reaches out with the Force for Savage's lightsaber and pulls it towards Maul. The remaining Night Brother screams in pain as it embeds itself across Maul's side. Vader doesn't let him recover and throws him against the wall and then begins to drag him off. Although this operation was strictly secret, news manages to filter out from the Mandalorians to Count Dooku, who is worried by this attack. Maul is not a component of their plan. He was a loose end of Palpatine, and the fact that he's removing his former apprentice is not lost on Dooku, who worries about his safety. He realizes it's only a matter of time before Vader goes after him. Lucky for him, he has some insurance for it. From the very first mission to Zaguria, Dooku had moved Anakin's friends before the attack on the planet to use in case of emergencies. Now the time has come to take action. He contacts the Citadel prison with commands for the new warden to release Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Captain Rex and send them to him. The 3 soon arrive at his flagship, weakened by hunger and the difficulties of captivity, but with their heads high as Dooku offers them a seat.
What's the meaning of this, Dooku?
No pleasantries. Good. I am not here as your enemy today, Kenobi.
You expect us to believe that?
Whether you believe me or not, Anakin Skywalker is in grave danger, as we all are.
Without waiting for a response, Dooku activates a small holoprojector. A blue-tinted image flickers to life, showing a figure encased in black armor, towering and terrifying. He moves with cold precision, brutally cutting down enemies. Zagirians, Mandalorians, and many others. They stare up at the figure, the terror plain in their eyes. They watch as even Maul and Savage are no match for the figure. Obi-Wan in particular trembles as he watches his old foe fall.
That monster is after Skywalker.
That is Skywalker. Your friend has been twisted into a weapon of the dark side. My master has sought to create a new apprentice, and it is only a matter of time before they go after us. That armor amplifies his pain and rage, shocking him into submission, bending him to Sidious's will. He whispers to Anakin through the suit, guiding his every step.
And he's after us.
He is, or he soon will be. I am not foolish to believe that my master does not plan on replacing me, and this thing is proof of that. So I ask you to help me stop him.
Stop him? That thing cut through a pair of Sith Lords like it was nothing. How do we stop him? What's your plan?
I will create a distraction to draw Sidious's attention. That will give you the time you need to confront Anakin, but be warned, he is not the man you remember. You won't be going alone, either. I've arranged for additional help.
Soon after, Palpatine and the Republic are rocked by a new offensive by the CIS as Grievous strikes right at the inner core. He brings a massive fleet to spread chaos in an operation called Dirge's Lance. But while Palpatine is busy trying to calm the public, he is distracted from whispering to Vader's ear. No matter. He's spent months honing him and is fairly sure that he will not have to worry about him. In the meantime, Darth Vader is sent to deal with a possible secondary attack in another sector. As he approaches the command center, he readies his lightsaber as the doors open. But instead of a few frightened battle droids, he finds Dirge, who immediately slams his tentacle forward, knocking Anakin against the wall. Behind him, a pair of figures leap out as Ahsoka and Obi-Wan rush at him, lightsabers ready. They prepare to attack, but Vader unleashes a force shockwave that shatters Dirge's arm at the shoulder. As he regenerates, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka advance. For a moment, though, Vader hesitates as he finds two familiar presences in the Force. He had never fully forgotten them, but his memories have dulled over the months. Seeing this pause, the pair take another step closer and look at him, hopefully.
Anakin.
He tries to reach out to him, but suddenly Darth Vader lashes out and nearly takes his hand too.
There is only Vader.
A flamethrower emerges from Dirge's gauntlet and shoots a gout of flame. Vader barely redirects it around himself, but leaves him trapped. From the room, Rex appears and fires a set of stun rounds at him. They strike him across the chest and drop him to his knees, but they fail to knock him out as Vader sweeps his hand and unleashes a wave of force that sends the flames around them. Ahsoka slides under the fire and kicks Anakin across the face. She throws a series of quick jabs at his stomach, then blocks his downward slash. Obi-Wan leaps up while they are locked together and slams him against the wall. Obi-Wan reaches out with the Force and tries to sense Anakin, but feels an overwhelming sensation of rage and confusion. The sensation is overpowering and sends him stumbling back. Anakin takes this opportunity to slam him back. Ahsoka tries to advance, but Vader blocks the attack and swats her aside. As he aims his lightsaber downwards, Rex fires another shot and momentarily stuns him. The Dark Lord flexes his fingers, but Dirge grabs his fingers with his tentacles and envelops his entire arm.
Take him.
Rex immediately runs forward and fires stun rounds at him again and slams the butt of his blaster against him. When he tries to do it again, Vader catches the weapon in his hand and slams it back against him. By this time, Ahsoka leaps up and pushes his hand against the wall. Obi-Wan soon joins him but frowns.
He's in pain. I think the armor's hurting him. Help me, Ahsoka.
The two of them suddenly thrust their hands out on each side of Vader's head. They both feel a surge of dark energy flowing through them, but they fight through the pain and try to hold him back and dissipate the energy. Slowly, their powers get through to the Dark Lord, who gasps and feels his mind overloading as the world goes dark and drops to the ground. As he falls to the ground, the four of them quickly get Vader and take him over to the operating table, where they begin cutting the armor off him. Rex works slowly, sliding the armor plate by plate until Vader is gone and Anakin is before them. Anakin wakes up a few hours later, sitting upright and clutching his head. The trio rushes to his side and checks up on him.
Anakin.
Master, what happened?
That's a long story that I'm honestly not sure about. Just know that you were made to do horrible things.
However, they do not have time to talk for long, as Dirge appears.
We have company. Someone is coming.
Ahsoka and Obi-Wan rush out of the command center with Dirge. Although they order Anakin to stay, he stumbles forward, shaking off their concern, and joins them. A dust storm is starting to get kicked up outside, but it does not block the sound of footsteps as a figure appears from the dust bowl. The trio ignite their lightsabers as he draws closer, revealing the smiling face of Palpatine.
Ah, my boy, you've awoken. I sensed something was wrong.
You did this to me? You took my memories?
What? My boy, I've done nothing of the sort. If you want them back, very well. Execute Order 66.
Anakin's body stiffens. Pain surges through him as the inhibitor chip embedded in his skull activates, taking control of his actions. His lightsaber swings violently towards Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. The two duck under him while he strains against his commands. I can't control it! He locks eyes with Ahsoka and makes a wild stab for her, dropping her to the ground. He prepares to stab down at her, but Dirge appears from behind and locks his arms around Anakin, his tentacles wrapping around him and keeping him back. Palpatine takes this opportunity to strike and rushes at Obi-Wan, who faces him alone. Their lightsabers clash in a brilliant flash of light as Obi-Wan gets into a defensive attack. As Anakin tries to shake free, Ahsoka approaches Anakin, ducking under his swings, and tries to pull his lightsaber from his grip.
Anakin! Fight it!
It's too late though, as his body is starting to go on autopilot as he turns to her and tries to slash at her.
Good soldiers, follow orders.
Obi-Wan blocks another flurry of strikes and reaches out to Anakin with the Force. The pain is gone, but there is a strange presence, something foreign.
We need to subdue him, now!
Ahsoka nods and rushes at Anakin, throwing a few quick kicks, trying to knock him out. But these don't do much, as Anakin only gets angrier and begins to channel the Force to break Dirge's hold. As his tentacles begin to shatter, the large bounty hunter makes a desperate move and slams his head against the wall repeatedly. It does the trick and knocks him out. Rex appears and grabs Anakin, taking him back inside.
Rex, figure out what's happening to him.
With Dirge and Ahsoka now free, the pair rush at him with weapons ready. Lightning crackles from the Sith Lord's fingers and strikes Dirge, sending him bursting, while Ahsoka leaps up and slams her lightsaber down, allowing Obi-Wan to break off. Dirge reforms behind Palpatine and slams him against the wall. Seeing the three surrounding him, Palpatine smiles and unleashes a burst of Force energy that throws them back. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan both swing their weapons and throw a barrage of fierce attacks, but this falls short as Palpatine easily blocks their attacks, and soon the momentum is halted. He smiles and then lunges at them, lightsabers spinning in front of them as he throws them back. Meanwhile, Captain Rex works frantically to examine Anakin's vitals. He eventually narrows down the problem to a strange chip in his brain and works to remove it. From outside, he can hear the battle growing more intense, but he doesn't let it distract him as he works, fully extracting the inhibitor chip. Anakin wakes up a moment later, but this time no one stops him. By the time he emerges, he sees the battle isn't going well. Palpatine's moving like a phantom, with nothing even coming close as he slashes off Dirge's limbs as fast as he can grow them, while driving Ahsoka and Obi-Wan back. But Anakin doesn't focus on that. Instead, he takes a deep breath and feels through the Force, searching for patterns in the Force and rushing forward. In the first blow, he breaks Palpatine's momentum and forces him to lock swords with him.
You trained me well, Master.
He pushes Palpatine's lightsaber aside and throws him back with the Force. Palpatine stumbles and Anakin smirks. The rage inside him had not dissipated since he was freed, and now he unleashes it. Suddenly, he's on Palpatine, his lightsaber flashing in a brilliant arc as he comes at him from all sides. The Sith Lord can barely defend himself as he's forced to face the monster he created. Now there is no whispering in his ear, just the righteousness of his mission that guides him forward. Anakin shoves Palpatine against the side of the building, bringing his lightsaber down on his arm, and then he follows the attack with a blow to the side and prepares to follow up on it. But Obi-Wan stops him.
You can't possibly believe he deserves mercy.
It isn't our way.
He's a killer. He turned me into a monster.
He made you one before. But whether you choose to be one now is your own choice. Let him face punishment.
Anakin stares at Palpatine for a long moment, his lightsaber leveled against him. But then he lowers it and shakes his head. Instead, he takes Palpatine back to Coruscant, where he will stand trial. The news of this, and the evidence of what he turned Anakin into, sends shockwaves to the Senate, who take a long, hard look at their government and realize how far they've fallen. In the meantime, the Jedi helps Anakin recover from his brutal training. Under the guidance of Yoda, they help him practice breathing exercises and meditation to try and make peace with the monster he has become. It takes months, but Anakin slowly comes to terms with his time as Darth Vader. More importantly, Anakin can reflect on the training and realizes there have been some benefits to it, such as being more connected to the Force. Anakin presents these findings to the Jedi. While initially confused, some are impressed with Anakin's thesis and begin to adopt these training practices, turning them into more spiritual training. For his service, he is made into a Jedi Master. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.